going in.
Rejoined the team that's not getting the love in the polls per se from the national media, from the coaches' polls even, and I understand because they've had a lot of close games, and so I think a lot of people outside of the program are leery of what this team's capabilities really are.
Yeah, no, and I think there's some reason for that. I mean, you never know where somebody belongs necessarily in the polls in this period. I mean, they don't have, right now still their marquee win is Marquette. That's the one that sort of stands out is the win you look at and say, okay, well that one matters. And they've had good wins, and I think Butler's obviously a good win, Louisville's a good win, Northwestern, Penn State, are decent wins. But there's not necessarily that one where you look at it and say, okay, well that one tells you Indiana belongs. Marquette's the closest thing to it, and they blew the doors off Marquette. But I think again, like you said, the fact that all these games have been close, that they're just barely beating everybody with 4 in a row or 5 in a row by 3 points or fewer is this crazy way to win. And I think they're still a flawed basketball team. There's a lot of issues that you look at, on the stat sheet that you're like, oh, I don't know about that. The free throws are an issue. They're still not a great. They're not going to be a great 3-point shooting team. Archie Miller keeps saying that. Like, look, this team's not going to shoot a lot of threes. And there's not necessarily, I think you can say Rob Phinisee is their third scorer. I mean, I think you can go so far out on that limb. But after that, there's not really a reliable guy that you look at and say, okay, well, they're going to get points from those guys. You're going to get some from Morgan and from Langford, and that's as good of a 1-2 punch, I think, as there is in the league. And I am super impressed with Phinisee. But after that, there's good players and guys that can contribute, but, a lot of guys are, give and take, basically. I mean, Justin Smith's a classic example, super athlete, really good defender, really good rebounder. You don't know what he's going to do with the ball in his hands. Sometimes he's going to dunk it on you, sometimes he's going to turn it over. I think a lot of, even if you dig deep into it, you're like, okay, well, I'm not sure about these guys yet, and with good reason. But the fact that they've been able to close out games the way they have, I think, definitely does speak really well for them and tells you a lot about what they're capable of. Because it's hard to win games the way they've won them. There's just been a couple occasions where they've been in situations where you think, okay, they're about to unravel. This is a bad state for a young team to be in this game. Even going back to the Penn State game, the play Rob Phinisee made there is something special, I think, for a freshman to make.